Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another weekly edition of the Facebook Ad IQ weekly live Q&A. I got to figure out a better way to streamline that. I need like an acronym or something. Well, I'm already short an ad, so NIQ. So I'll come up with something better. Let's just say the weekly Facebook Live Q&A. That's short and sweet and good enough. So, as usual, you guys kind of know the drill. We're gonna, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. No, that's not for you. Right now, Hoki's looking at this unicorn we got up here, so she's trying to attack it. It's not yours. Go find another toy. So yeah, we're as usual. I'm here to answer any Facebook ad related questions, and my phone is not charging, so that's good because this cord looks like it's been bitten in half. So I have some topics we can talk about, but really I want to get these weekly live Q&As much more interactive than they are right now. Frankly, like the last few ones have kind of been just me talking, and I kind of do that throughout the week anyway in the group in different Facebook Lives. So ideally, I'd like to be able to be more reactive instead of proactive, if that makes sense, and be able to really just respond to questions that the group has. And I'm sure there are questions. There's got to be questions. Everyone has questions. I have questions all the time that I ask people that are smarter than me. And so I can also kind of just talk while I'm waiting for people to kind of jump in and hop in. I can talk about some updates. And I'm also almost trying to wrap up my Words with Friends, my fiance right now. So I'm simultaneously trying to win Words with Friends and share Facebook ad value. So I got a T and an R left. That's all I got. And she just played Z for 14 words, which is definitely not a word. Z is not a word. So I got to figure out what to do with T and R. And as soon as I figure that out, then I can hop into talking about an update on the course and some other cool stuff that we got in the pipeline. But feel free to pop any questions into the chat while we do that. And I'm going to figure out how to play TNR and win this game because it's a close one right now. And if you want to play Words with Friends with me, we can play Words with Friends. You can message me on Facebook, and I love to kill time with Words with Friends. So we can certainly do that, and we can play for stakes. Maybe I got to do like a free 30-minute consulting session for you if you beat me or something. So we can definitely increase the stakes there. And I got nothing. Tree with one E. That's not a word. I'm really struggling right now to tra. Let's see if tra's a word. And it doesn't look like tra is a word, so that's no good either. Let's see what I got. Sorrow is not a word. Soto is not a word. I'm just going to have to play re. That was a really pathetic word. I just played re for 2 points, R-E, and that was really bad, and I just got a T left. So let me see, we got 4 people in here right now, so that's fine. My phone's probably going to die in a second, so I can't play Words with Friends anymore and kill time. But yeah, so let's talk about the course for a second. I haven't really, I'm not a big, if anybody kind of knows me well, they know one of my weaknesses is by far selling. I'm really good at getting people to buy things using Facebook ads, digital marketing. I'm really bad at selling myself. I have a hard time asking people for money and charging for my time. That's why I give away a lot of free information. It's not the fact that I just like being nice. It's the fact that it's not a strong suit of mine. So the reason I've been talked a lot about my course is really that I haven't wanted to be too promoty and pushy and salesy. If you want a free consulting session, you can have a free consulting session, but you got to win first. So we can start that on the next game, or we can play for Hoki because she's right here, right, Hokes? Yeah. So we can play for her ownership of Hoki. Trying to see if I can share. The problem with doing Facebook Lives in the group sometimes is that I want to be able to share this out, and it makes it tough to do that inside a group. so that's sometimes a challenging thing. Everyone else can easily share. I'm trying to, I don't want my phone to die, so I'm trying to go live on our Instagram account simultaneously. So bear with me for a second. And I need to find a power cord. See if I can find one. It actually wants to charge. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna find a power cord. All right, I'm back. One sec. Of course, now you start working. A piece of shit. As soon as I get up off my ass and actually go and find the cord, then it starts working. And okay, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to. I've had a lot of success lately with Instagram, actually going on live on Instagram. So since there's only 3 people right here, and I want to get a lot more questions coming in. I've actually had a lot of people on Instagram ask me a lot of questions during Facebook Live. So because this chat is pretty silent, I'm gonna link in my Instagram account and get some engagement going there. Because really, this is, I only do this for a Q&A, right? I can update you guys all the time. But again, while I'm doing that simultaneously, let me get back to talking about the course. So the course is, let's see how close I can bring this so it's kind of, I'm looking at both at the same time. Shit. I got too much stuff over here, guys. Too much stuff. Too many things and stuff and things. Okay, come on. Just check an internet connection. I can't see comments now. That's not good. Let me unplug this real quick. And then I'll hop into an update on the course, and I'll talk about some cool stuff. And we got 4. You guys had me. I had 4 people I thought were watching, and I got excited. And then that 5th person there, whoever's the 5th person, you're back. Thank you. So, okay, so we're live on Instagram too. I do like going live on Instagram. I feel like it's gotten a little better because now there's some longevity to it because you can actually use it as a story for 24 hours, which is nice. But it's I didn't like doing it before. Percy, thank you for asking a question. It's so nice. Like, it's really easy, guys. Like, literally just ask anything. It can be broad. It can be super open. Honestly, ask a question, and the broader the better, right? Because I can talk about broad topics for a really long time until you want me to shut up. And here, just to give you guys a angle as well. So the Instagram Live has almost as many viewers as the Facebook Live, and I just started it. So for these on Instagram, you're kind of been hacked into my Facebook Ad IQ weekly Q&A Facebook Ad Live. So essentially, we're going to be talking about, you can ask me any question about Facebook ads, e-com, digital marketing, anything. You guys know me as the founder of Startup Drugs and Instagram, and then everyone on Facebook Live knows me as the kind of founder of this group and somebody that knows a little bit about digital marketing and Facebook ads. So Percy, what is your preferred type of Facebook ads for e-commerce? Funny you should say that. So part of, as I was wrapping up a lot of content for the course the other day, one of the modules I was doing was on types of ads. And so I kind of went through some advanced types of ads. I went through Canvas, and collections came up. And so collections, I think, are underrated right now. They're not being talked about very often. I've seen a lot of big brands use them. Apple's use them really, really well. And collections, in my opinion, if you're an e-com store that has a variety of products, not just a single product company, I think it's without doubt the best ad unit you can use. And the reason is it combines 2 of the most powerful types of ads on Facebook. It combines video ads with your dynamic product ads. And this is new. I actually just saw this the other day because I used collections when it first came out and what was in beta a few months ago, and I kind of played around with it and didn't really look back at it. I looked back at it the other day because I was creating a module in the course and saw they just added a new subsection below it. When they first rolled it out on collections, if you don't know what collections are, it's a new ad unit on Facebook. it has copy, then a single image or video, then a headline, and then below that it has a grid of 4 images that can be products. And then if you click on the products, it takes you to an in Facebook store that then goes to your store. And so when they first came out with it, you were just picking out your top 4 products. You kind of highlighted what products you want to show in that 4 grid. Now that you can do dynamic products, so essentially now you can let Facebook decide which 4 products to show to that person who's looking at the ad. So it's kind of combined that dynamic product ad element where Facebook is using personalization with your product catalog to show the right 4 products to the right person with video, which is really, really effective because now you can do video engagement audiences, which means you can retarget by individual ads. Video is obviously more powerful. So collection is an ad unit I would definitely test. The only downside is it's mobile only. You can't run it on desktop. You can't run it on any other placement option. And so that's the kind of downer, depending on your business and your demo. Mobile might not be the best route to go exclusively. So collections is big. I know it's kind of open-ended question, preferred type of Facebook ads for e-commerce. So collections is definitely an ad unit I would use. I think using content up front, so using like a tool like Sniply to find like hot trending content, articles on high authority websites, sharing those that kind of hit on the problem your product solves or hits on the niche that your product's in. You're going to get a lot of people that kind of raise their hand and say, I'm interested in this. You're going to warm up your cold traffic really cost effectively because you're using website click ads to content instead of website conversions to product. And then retargeting people that actually read those articles, because Sniply, you can actually put a pixel on other people's websites by iframing it. And then retargeting those people with website conversion ads to products, to collections. That's a strategy that works really, really well. And then obviously dynamic product ads. So I think, again, if you have a store with multiple products, creating a product feed. So there's tools like Feedly and Flexify, which allow you to really, really easily create a product feed, dynamic product feed for your store. And then going into Facebook, into your business manager, creating a product catalog, adding that feed, and setting it up. Now you can run dynamic product ads where Facebook is essentially not just retargeting based on, hey, somebody adds to the cart, we're going to show them this ad. They're actually going to retarget based on what's in their cart. So if you want a carousel retargeting ad, they're going to show you each carousel item might be an item that's actually in that person's cart. So it's a lot more personalized. It's a lot more effective. It allows you to kind of scale your creatives without having to create individual ads for every possible audience. So I hope that answers your question, Percy. So that's Percy's question. That was a good one. All right, Sean asks, and up here for my Instagram people, feel free to ask any question. This is a Q&A, so whatever questions you have, feel free to drop them in. I had a great dialogue last time I was on here with a few people, which was really exciting. All right, Sean asks, what is your preferred ad method for Facebook for selling t-shirts? Or what have you had success with at Startup Drugs? So this is kind of piggybacking on Percy's question. With Startup Drugs, we got lucky in a lot of respects. No, it's not the same answer. I mean, it's part of that answer. It applies to this answer, but I want to make sure. I just got asked a question on Instagram, and I want to make sure it doesn't go through on the feed. 1 sec. What's a realistic CPA? We have an average. And I found it hard to get a profitable place. Okay. So Sean, let me I'll answer your question after this. I just want to answer this guy's question on Instagram because it kind of flows through and I might miss it. So on Instagram, they asked, what's a realistic CPA? We've had an average sale of about $37, and I found it hard to get to a profitable place. And he's, by the way, I'm wearing a Hustle shirt. So I'd love to see you wearing the Hustle shirt. If you want to take a photo and tag us in it, that'd be great. We'll feature on the website. But honestly, that question is, there's a lot of variables that go into what a realistic CPA is. So first, I would need to know what your price point of your product is, what your product is itself, and what kind of your demo is for your target audience. Those variables are all going to determine what a realistic CPA is, right? So if you're selling a $10,000 mastermind, the CPA, what's realistic there, is very different than if you're selling a $20 t-shirt. What I will say is that when you get to a point where you know your numbers and you start to understand this is where I need to be at to be profitable. So my average order value, my AOV for a customer is $50. My CLTV, my customer lifetime value, is $120, and my margins are 50%. Once you know your numbers, you know where you need to be to acquire a customer, right? You know what your CPA needs to be. And so, first of all, you need to think longer term, right? Too many people get focused in the short game, and they get focused on where my CPA needs to be to acquire customers. And they don't think about the upsells. They don't think about the post-purchase retargeting. They don't think about the lifetime value of a customer. Those are two very different numbers, and ideally, that lifetime value should be 2 to 3 to 4 times that initial purchase value. So that should all be factored in, and the profitability there is a lot higher because typically those sales happen from email and free medium. So that needs to be factored into what I'm willing to pay on a front end. So, okay, $20 travel months, that's helpful. So we work with a lot of really, really big affiliates. One of my partners in one of our companies runs, one of the largest affiliate networks, and so we get a lot of insight into what these big, really successful e-com players and product companies are willing to pay to acquire a customer. And so in the affiliate world, some of these products are trial products. They're skincare companies, huge companies we're talking about. I'm not going to give names here, but big companies you recognize names for. And they're willing to pay, they're paying $40, $50, $60 CPAs on free trials, free plus shipping trials. And the reason they're doing that is because they know they have really, really good upsell sequences. They know they can make a lot of the room up after that. And they know that for every trial we acquire, we're going to convert 30% into subscription. And then on average on subscription, the average lifetime is 5-6 months. And during that 6 months, we net Y. And so they know their numbers, and they're able to work backwards and say, hey, I'm willing to pay $50 to acquire a customer because I know I'm going to make $300 on average for a customer. So before you really focus too much on the front end, you need to understand the back end. You really need to take a deep dive and know your numbers, know your and know those profitability numbers and the pro forma there before you can dive into what a good CPA is. Because what I can tell you is if you're selling a $20 travel mug, scaling that is going to be challenging. If you're a single product company that your highest price point product is $20, my guess is if you're drop shipping, your margins are probably 55-60%. If you're pricing a mug at $20, I'm guessing you can probably get it for $4 or $5, and then you have shipping. So let's just say your margins 50% to make it even. So you need to be acquiring buyers for under $10, and a sub $10 CPA for a straight sale on a competitive market is tough. Not impossible, but it's tough. So I think too many people get focused on the front end and lowering the CPA instead of increasing the AOV. And so what I can tell you from experience is that 9 times out of 10, it is easier to move the needle on increasing AOV than it is to move the needle on decreasing CPA. I would say actually 99% of the time it's easier. And it's crazy, right? And for those of you on the Instagram that don't know me as well, one of the things I talk about a lot is one of the things I talk about a lot is post-purchase retargeting and how crazy it is to me that a lot of e-com owners don't do anything with their existing customers. They focus all of their time and money on acquiring customers and no time and money on upselling, nurturing, cross-selling existing customers, which is crazy because at a minimum, it is 5 times harder to sell a new customer than it is to resell an existing customer. And so what I would say to you is I would look at your entire product catalog. I would look at maybe some JV, some partnerships, maybe some affiliate offers, and I would figure out what can I sell my customers after they buy from me once that they would be excited to buy from. What deals can I make them? How can I get the AOV, lifetime value, up? into the 50s, 60s, 70s, because that fixes your problem, right? Obviously, I think they're based on a $37 CPA. I think there's ways you can definitely increase your CPA. But if you can increase your AOV to 75, 80 bucks, or your lifetime value amount, all of a sudden those numbers start working for you. And so that's probably my biggest lesson I can give you out of this. Let me try to just turn this down, because I think when I go to share this, when I go to share this, it's going to be all fucked up because it's on landscape and I always forget and then I regret it later. So let me just turn this down real quick. Awesome. We're in business. So what I would say then is, on the flip side of ways you can decrease your CPA, I would look at, what type of mugs are you selling? Are you in a niche? Are they just generic mugs? Is it the mug itself that's high quality? Is it something you print on them? That's the niche behind it. Is it for moms or football teams or something like that? That would help me get a little more info to kind of give you advice on your Facebook ads themselves to kind of decrease that CPA. So if you can give me some of that info, I can give you some advice on your ads. While you do that, I'm going to answer a question from the Facebook group. Anybody on Instagram that is watching this, that wants to be part of the Facebook Ad IQ group, we do this every week. Search Facebook Ad IQ on Facebook, and it's an invite-only group. I'll accept you, and you won't have to worry about missing any of these great lives we do. So, okay, very special mug. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Just so the more detail you give me, the better it's going to be there. It won't fall when it gets knocked over. That's cool. So it's actually the mug itself that's the product. That's like the unique factor, not the fact that it's like the t-shirt business where it happens to be something printed on it. That's the selling feature. If that's what I'm getting you, that's what it sounds like, right? That it's the product itself. So in that case, I would probably focus on all of the problems that your product solves. I would look at potentially creating some content around that, like a listicle. 20 things I hate about my standard coffee mug, or maybe that's a little extreme, 5 things. But basically what I'm getting at is, it's a lot easier and more cost effective to target cold traffic with kind of entertaining educational content than it is to try to sell cold traffic out of the gate. And so we have a lot of success with all of our businesses in engaging that big cold traffic audience with listicles, with videos, even repurposed content, right? Most of us don't have time to hire a blog writer or write content on our own, and why should we? So use a tool like Sniply, find a really great article that's already been written on a high authority site, snip it, you can pixel it so you can retarget that audience, and then boost that post, sharing another person's article from your page, and then you can retarget people that read that article. Find other people's videos, upload them natively to your Facebook page, and then put money behind them as a video view audience, and then retarget people that watch 95% of it. And then I would focus on, I don't know if you have a really good video of the product. I'd imagine that to sell that type of product, having a video showing it getting knocked over and not breaking and not falling would be really compelling. I would create a short, 15 to 30 second, kind of like BuzzFeed or Biz Insider style video, square video, that really hits on those. Yeah, so it's snip, snip.ly. If you don't use Sniply, you're gonna get so much value out of this video just from that one tip. Sniply is like a game-changing tool for marketers on the paid media side of things. So you can basically take any article online and add your own overlays on top of it. So if I see an article on Inc. that I want to drive traffic to, but on that article I want to add an email opt-in to the bottom of it for my email list, I can do that. Or I can add a banner image to the bottom. So I'm driving traffic to Inc. People are on Inc.com, but I have my call to action that looks native on the website. And I can also pixel it, my Facebook pixel, so I can retarget people that go to that page. So it's been a game changer for me. I've been using it for about a year and a half now. I really haven't talked about it much because it's been kind of a secret weapon. But now that I'm coming out with the course, I want to start sharing a lot more. So you'll get a lot of value from that. So yeah, I mean, I think if you can really focus on warming that audience up with content before going right for the straight sale, I think that's going to help a lot. I don't know what type of audiences you're targeting. I think there's a misconception in Facebook ads that you need to have really small targeted audiences, which is not the case. In fact, if you find a small audience that works, you're kind of fucked because you can't scale it. So we look for 1.5 million person audiences and up for a lot of our campaigns now, because we need to be able to scale and spend thousands of dollars a day. We can't do that with a 100,000 person audience. So don't try to get too defined with your audiences. You want to test a lot of audiences on a behavioral, demographic, and interest side that give you enough room to scale. So that's another key misconception. And then also get familiar with manual bidding. Manual bidding has been one of the biggest game changers for me personally over the last year in regards to decreasing my CPA by taking control of what I'm bidding for that action. And when you bid, one thing to keep in mind is that suggested bid, which is typically $30 that Facebook tells you if you don't have enough data on your ad set, is a bid, not a cost, right? So some people get turned off right out of the gate because they think that $30 suggested bid means that they're going to pay $30 for a sale. It's not the case. What you're basically telling Facebook is, I'm willing to pay $30 for that sale. If it's a max bid, I'm willing to pay up to 30. If it's an average, I'm willing to pay 30 on average. Facebook is going to try to get you the most sales with your budget. So it's going to start with the lowest price auction. So it might start with the $4, $5, $6 auctions. Obviously, there's not as many of them, so it'll win those. But it has to keep increasing the bid, increasing the auction, because there's limited supply. And it'll begin to work up to that. But if you start your bid higher, you actually beat out the competition. And so if everyone's bidding $20 and you come in and bid $40 or $60, you bully, and that's called the bully method of Tim Bird. You basically bully the competition, push them out of the market. You begin to win almost all of the auctions, because every time you go to serve your ad to somebody, you're entering an auction against somebody else. It's a auction marketplace. So there's lots of advertisers trying to get their ad in front of one person or a group of people. So there's competition. So you're basically in an auction and competing against other people, other advertisers for the same person. And so Facebook's taking into account 3 different metrics for that. They're looking at your bid, they're looking at your relevance and quality score, and they're looking at your action score. So bid you can control, obviously, so whoever has the highest bid. Then they're looking at quality score, relevance score, so how high the relevance is of the ad. Then they're looking at action score, so projected action. So they're basically looking at that person and saying, how likely is this person, based on their past history, to take the action that I'm paying Facebook to get. So I'm optimizing for a purchase of my coffee mug. How likely is this person to buy a coffee mug? And so they basically accumulate those 3 variables into a score, into a total, and whoever's the highest total wins that auction. And so the more competitive you can get with the bid, the higher you can get that score. You're going to win more auctions, and you're going to win more high quality auctions and high quality buyers. So that's also something that you also have to take into account with your Facebook ads, is take control of those variables. Don't let Facebook just do everything for you, especially on the bidding side. So let me hop back into the Facebook Ad IQ. No problem, Anthony. Generally, when testing, do you put different ad formats to different ad sets, or do you test, for example, video ads, image, slideshow, and same ad set? If you test, for example, 3 images, videos, etc. from the start, and then you want to add new versions, will you add them to the same ad set or create the new one and launch them separately? That's a good question. One of the things I've been testing actually a lot lately, and it's a little, I wouldn't say unconventional, but it's definitely something I never did before, and I've had success with it. It's called the Michigan method. And so the Michigan method essentially is a strategy for testing 803 variations of ads. That's the zip code in Michigan, 803. So I don't go to that extreme, but essentially what the underlying logic behind it, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name that coined it. He was in Digital Marketer article. It was really great. Not my idea, so I never take credit for other people's ideas. But basically what he found is that, when he's testing once he's already kind of identified a lot of things that work for him for his campaigns, like ages and genders, and he wants to really refine from there. What he's found is that if you take the conventional road, which is take an ad set and then test 6 to 9 different ad variations under that ad set, Facebook is going to quickly kind of hone in on like 2 or 3 of those 6 to 9. And a lot of the budget is going to go to those. And Facebook obviously has reasons, algorithmic reasons, why it's putting money towards those ads. The problem, though, is the rest of those ads really don't get the spend they need to determine whether they're good or bad ads. And so what eventually happens is, after a few days or a few weeks, depending on how much you're spending, you end up with, 6 or 7 ads that just have, $40, $50, $60 to spend on, not a lot of trash, not a lot of data, and you turn them off. And you never truly test them to the amount that they should be tested. And so what the Michigan method does is takes a individual targeting option. So let's say you want to target a specific interest, so people that like Apple, and you want to test mobile placement. So you create a campaign that's called mobile, and then within that campaign you have your interest, so it's Apple. So all the now ad sets under this campaign will be mobile. And then you have an interest, that's Apple. And then within that ad set you create a single ad. And so if you want to test 9 ads, you basically dupe that ad set 8 times. So now you have 9 of the same ad sets, 9 Apple interest, but each one now has a different ad associated with it. And you do that for all of your interests and your behaviors and demographics. And then you take that mobile campaign, you dupe it, and now you do desktop. And then you dupe it, and you have Instagram. And so what you end up doing is getting really, really granular at what you're testing. And you quickly identify very specific targeting options, interest behaviors, audiences, and then ads that are your best performers. And why I like this strategy is that it is true multivariate A/B testing. The way Facebook does it, if you just put 9 ads under an ad set, is not true multivariate A/B testing. True A/B testing involves taking 2 options, A and B, putting them in the same scenarios with the same resources and same conditions, and running them against each other, and then measuring which one is best. The way Facebook does it is they weight those ads differently. So if you have, let's just say for the sake of simplicity for this argument, you have an ad set that has 2 ads, ad A and ad B. Facebook is not going to equally split the budget up, and then ad set has $10 a day budget. Facebook is not going to equally allocate $5 to A and B. Facebook is going to allocate based on their algorithm. So what ends up happening is you might have A gets $9, B gets $1. And that might go on and on and on. So at the end of the week, you might have ad A, ad B. Ad A has $500 spent on it, and ad B has $80 spent on it. And now if you try to analyze the data, it's not really, it's hard to be statistically significant with that data and make really good conclusions of what ad's best, because they both didn't get the same conditions. They both didn't get the same amount of spend. So it's hard to say that ad A is better than ad B or vice versa, because they didn't get the same level of testing, and it wasn't equal. So to be true A/B testers, the only thing that should be different is what you're testing. So in this case, the only thing that should be different is the ad you're running. All other conditions should remain constant. So that's kind of, I digress back to the question. I hope that kind of answered it, Igor. But I found that by doing that, I'm seeing a lot more success at an ad level, because I don't think, I think a lot of us Facebook advertisers and digital marketers, we focus a lot of our time on testing bidding and targeting and placements and ad set level options. And we kind of hope that Facebook will do the right testing at an ad level because we let them allocate budget. And unfortunately, we just don't take enough control of it. So I found that once I took that control away from Facebook and kind of just let numbers do the testing, I started seeing great trends in ads that are working versus ads that aren't working. And if I had done them the old way, I wouldn't have identified some of the ads that I now know are winners. I would have wrote them off as losers. And so yeah, that's that is a little bit about A/B testing and what I think true A/B testing is, because in reality, like the A/B testing on Facebook is not true A/B testing at its foundation. So let's see. I know we had a few questions backed up, so I was kind of going through all those. Do we have any other questions? Any ecom questions? Any Facebook ad questions? This has been great. I'm going to start doing Instagram Live and Facebook Live simultaneously because it's nice. I'm getting some questions for Instagram, getting some questions for Facebook, and they're all kind of different types of questions as well, which is great. Let me see as I wait for Facebook if any came in through Instagram. Let me see. So I'm looking forward to some Mighty Mugs. Whoever's the actual user behind Mighty Mug, I'm sure I'll get some good use out of them. And I'm glad I could help you, man. Okay, let me scroll down. Thanks, Angel. I'm always happy to share info with other entrepreneurs. So more than happy. Igor asks, talking about audiences, do you generally try to single out every variable per ad set, or try to layer them on top another in order to get to 1.5 million person audience? So here's an interesting question, right? It's funny how things change, because I remember now that I'm creating my new course, I'm going back and looking at old videos I did from a year or 2 years ago on Facebook advertising, on digital marketing, and I see things that I talked about then that I disagree with now. And it's not so much that they're wrong. They worked for me then. It's just that the way I've done things has kind of evolved, and I found better methods. And so, I used to be a big proponent on layering and detailed targeting when Facebook first came out in Power Editor with the ability to do detailed targeting, where instead of doing end statements, you could do instead of doing or statements, you could do end statements. So your audience actually narrowed instead of expanding when you added layers. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And it was the greatest thing ever for niche businesses. But as I started to get into this world where we're talking 7, 8, 9 figures, you need to think scaling. That becomes a variable that I used to not have to worry about when it was just me. And so when you bring scaling into the equation, you need to approach audience building and audience creation changes. Because now you need to not just think about that initial traction and target. You need to think about how much can I make out of this audience? How big can I take this? How much can I ramp this up before I have to go back to the drawing board? And with the detailed targeting approach, the unfortunate thing is that you need to go back to the drawing board a lot. You exhaust audiences and ads really, really fast, just because of how small audiences can be. And you might think a 500,000 person audience, that's plenty big, and it is for a lot of people, but when you're spending 6, 7 figures a month, that goes by like that. And if you're running a lot of accounts, you don't have time to go back and reinvent the wheel every month or every few weeks. So I typically, for most of our ad accounts now, we have so much data with a lot of them that we're doing, 10% plus lookalike audiences. So we have big audiences that we're going with. We have, 1%, 2%, 3%, we can go up to 10 buyer data, and it's really high quality, and that does really well. I got some tips yesterday from Mohammed, who's part of the group, talking about call to action lookalikes. So there's an engagement-based audience inside Facebook of people that have actually clicked the call to action button in the last 365 days. He said those lookalike audiences are killing it. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm going to start testing that. So 5% to 10% lookalike audiences do really well on a interest level, and actually how many variables I test in an audience. Frankly, if you can it depends on your product too, right? So there's products out there that are mass market products. And if you can get everything else dialed in, if your offer page is dialed in, if you have really, really good UGC and ads, and your core demo in terms of age and gender and where they are, you can go real, real broad. And I've seen it work. And I'm talking no targeting, just an age breakdown and a gender breakdown with really good ads. And I've seen those ad accounts. I've been inside them, and I've seen them work and make 7 figures a month. And so a lot of the people that I know that are big, big time e-com players and affiliate players that are making 7, 8, 9 figures a month, that's the route they're going. They're not even targeting anymore. And when I say not targeting anymore, I mean they're still targeting, but they're not, people that like As Seen on TV and Netflix and House of Cards and this. I mean, they're not even doing that anymore. They're focused on the offer page, making that badass. They're focused on really, really good ads with UGC and really top-notch creatives they've tested and refined. And then they just know their audience so well, and they know their product, and they have social proof on it. So that's the route that a lot of the big players are going. So for me, I like to test big audiences because if I can make it work with a 10 million person audience, I'm going to make a lot of money. So of course I still test some audiences that have multiple layers, typically, behavior and an interest to combine the two. But I still test, single interest, single behavior audiences because I know if I can get those to work, I'm going to make a lot of money really fast, just because of how big that opportunity is. Let's see. What is your main method for collecting emails from Percy? So the funny thing about that is my focus lately has not been collecting emails, and I've actually systematically been going through my ecosystems and removing email capture and substituting it with messenger capture. So if you go to maxwellfinn.com right now, I removed my welcome mat from SumoMe, which I feel kind of bad for because they just asked me to be an affiliate of theirs. And so now I have to go back and maybe add some stuff from SumoMe because it's a great company. But I replaced it with a mini chat welcome mat. So it's the exact same offer, the exact same look. It's a full page takeover. But instead of giving your email address, you're opting into my messenger bot. And the reason I'm doing this is frankly just numbers, right? What I'm seeing in my messenger broadcasts is 70, 80, 90% open rates and 7 to 30% click-through rates on most broadcasts, which is 5 to 10 to 15 times higher than email. So I still think email has its place, and I still have ways to grow the email list actually through Messenger. But if I'm doing lead gen nowadays, it's for Messenger opt-ins, not for email opt-ins. And actually through ManyChat, I'll give you a little hack here. So through ManyChat, I can still get email addresses. Basically what I do is set up an automation, and in that automation, I use ManyChat's question module, so I can pull a question up into the message, and then it's a free type response. What I basically do is tag that with a custom variable. That custom variable is email. So basically what I'm telling ManyChat is that in that question when I ask, can you share your email address, they're going to tag everybody's response as their email address and associate it with their profile. So people are opting to my messenger, then the first automation message they're getting is a thank you with a prize, a reward, and then I'm asking them for an email because I want to send them special bonuses, and I get their email address too. So that's what I'm doing for my lead capture. To grow my messenger list, I'm using comment to message, so I'll run organic posts, run PPE, page post engagement behind them, and when people comment on it, they're then getting a reply from my messenger bot and getting subscribed into a chat sequence. I'm running ads that are going straight to a messenger sequence. When I do stage talks, my keynote, the last slide is a messenger sticker that when you scan, it opens right into a chat sequence where I deliver my video ad funnel. And then also on site. So I have my welcome mat on site, a lot of organic ways that I'm growing that messenger list. Okay, Dorian, nice to see you in here. So, hey Max, I just tried something new today. Instead of optimizing for an add to cart conversion with the different ad sets for different audiences, I've combined all audiences and optimized for the one add to cart conversion with a larger budget to try to get the 15 to 25 conversions per week. Do you think that's really better than dividing up your audiences and possibly not getting the 15 to 25 conversions? That's a really, really good question. So Dorian's getting at is the fact that the Facebook pixel, for it to really do its job, and for Facebook's algo to really optimize your ad and get dialed in and find the right person, because basically what you're telling Facebook is, hey, for this campaign, for this ad set, I want you to go find people most likely to buy on my site if I'm optimizing for conversions, or for what Dorian said, most likely to add to the cart. The problem is, if you don't have a minimum of 15 to 25 of those conversions a week on that ad set, Facebook simply doesn't have enough data to optimize for. And so what ends up happening is you pay a lot more because website conversion ads are the most expensive because it's the most valuable event you're optimizing for. So you end up spending a lot of money, and if you're not hitting those minimum benchmarks, you're not really getting the most out of that ad unit. And so that's a really good question, Dorian. It's kind of a chicken or the egg question, right? It's like, hey, do I limit my testing for the sake of getting the pixel fully optimized and Facebook's algo fully optimized, or do I continue testing and sacrifice some optimization on Facebook's standpoint? What I would say is, if you don't know for a fact who your winning demo is, what your winning ad is, if you don't have that data of like this targeting, this demo, age, gender, placement, this specific ad are my winners, I still think there's more merit in testing more ad sets, even if you're not able to allocate enough budget there. So I still think it's fine to have a lot of audiences testing, even if those audiences aren't hitting that 15-25 a week conversion, because you'll learn a lot and then you can consolidate. So as you start to see which of those audiences are performing best, you could turn off the losers, roll the budget into the winners, and consolidate. Have you tested running with a straight purchase? So this is another. This is more of like I wouldn't say it's a preference thing, because there's definitely mathematical reasoning behind each one of these approaches. But for example, Ezra Firestone with his ads, he's a big proponent of only optimizing your ad for the next possible step somebody would take in your funnel. And what I mean by that is, your ideal goal with a website conversion ad is for that person to buy. But Ezra's mentality is, if they're new prospect, the first possible thing they can do is view the product page, which is view content. And then after that, the next possible thing is add to cart. And then after that, it's initiate checkout. And then after that's purchase. So each one of those ads should only optimize for that event. And I think it's a good strategy. I think the challenge with that strategy is, if you don't have the budget and the scale and the resources to have that many retargeting campaigns for every single step along the way, it can get very costly and time consuming. And I've tested it with a lot of ad accounts where we've tested optimizing for add to cart versus purchase versus initiate checkout, and I haven't seen, and this is just me, I haven't seen a big enough difference to justify either of those strategies. And that's just me. Again, if it works for you, it works for you. But I think it's definitely an area where there's a lot of differing viewpoints on which action, which event to optimize for in your campaign. Because again, what happens is you're at this point now where you find this audience may be winning, but it's winning for a different objective than the objective you actually want them to win for, if that makes sense. So you're telling Facebook, because remember, part of the auction, there's 3 parts. So every time you enter the Facebook auction to show your ad to a prospective buyer or page visitor or whoever it is, your bid is only part of it. So there's bid, relevance score, and action score. So you have 3 variables that Facebook is looking at to determine whether you're going to win this auction or lose this auction. And so bid is obvious, relevance score is obvious, you know that. Action score is the one that could be changed based on whether you're optimizing for view content, add to cart, purchase. Because Facebook essentially then is looking at that person who is the person that you're auctioning for, and they're looking at their past history on Facebook with other ads, and they're saying, okay, the objective of this ad is to view content. That's what I'm bidding for, is for them to view this product page. So now Facebook is looking and seeing, how likely is this person to view product pages about mugs or t-shirts or whatever it is. And then looking at the other person and seeing how likely they are to whatever their product they're optimizing for. And so the reason that can be a challenge is that if you found a dialed in formula that works. So a bid that works, you have an ad that works, high relevance score, high quality score, and then obviously the action score works because of the objective. Then you take that audience and now you change the objective, the conversion event, to purchase. It's now looking at that person differently, because now it's not looking at them based on viewing a product page. It's now saying how likely is this person to buy this product. And that changes the formula pretty dramatically, because it's a very different event that Facebook is looking at. So it could have an impact on what the right bid now is, what the right ad is, whether you're going to win those same auctions with that same person. So that's all I keep in mind, is just take that into account if your strategy is to kind of continually change, to keep the same audience, but change the event from view content, add to cart, purchase, because that has an impact on how you win auctions inside Facebook's auction system. So yeah, long story short, I still think it's important to test. I think if you do find things that test, then, and you do test things and find winners, then definitely scale those out. You should always be testing though. There should never be a scenario in your ad account where you're only running one campaign and you just have your winner that you're scaling. Because at some point, that ad is going to stop working. It might be tomorrow, it might be next month, it might be 2 months from now, but at some point it'll stop working and you're going to need a new ad to scale. So you always want to have more tests in the pipeline. You always want to be testing new ad sets, new ads, new targeting options, new features from Facebook, and finding new winners, because you always want to have things in the pipeline ready to go when that thing stops working. So I would definitely continue to test your ad sets, even if you did find a winner. All right, let me see. So Igor asked, for new vertical, do you typically start with auto or manual bids, and how do you set the budget in that case? I mean, like, if I start with a manual $30 per ad set, what should the budget be? I mean, typically I'd set the budget at a minimum 5x. So if your bid is $30, you want to have at least $150 daily budget on that. If it's a new vertical and a new ad account, totally new biz, I would start with automatic bid, because you really want Facebook to be kind of tell you, and you need to know your numbers first, right? If you're going to this new business, new product, new ad account, everything's fresh. You need to know what that CPA average is going to look like. You need to start understanding what your AOV is going to look like. And then once you know those numbers, now you can go back and say, well, okay, I know my AOV is going to be around here. I know it's my profitability, and I know my CPA is going to be in this range. So I'm going to run an average manual bid of X, and maybe I'll test a few variations. So I'll do the range, and I'll test, low bid to high bid. I'll do, 6 to 8 different bid tests in between, and see which one I test. Or even just use companion labs, because they make that super easy to test out the bids early on. So I would do average bid, companion labs, and then do it your own and scale it with your own manual bids. What would be your main strategies for local businesses with limited audiences and budgets, like $1,000 monthly budget with 10 to 80,000 audiences? So for local businesses, I think video view to retarget on video view audiences is definitely a strategy that works really, really well. So basically creating a badass video, creating a geofence around the business, a certain radius based on the business and their, how far out their customers need to be, and really saturating that demo, and then retargeting based on 95% video views. So you could almost start really broad. If it's a small area, you might not even have to do targeting. You could just do a video view ad around a radius. Maybe you filter by age or things that are just irrelevant, but just kind of flood and saturate that market with a great video, and then retarget. No call to action, no nothing. Just a video with great copy, and then retarget the 95% video views now with another video with a call to action, and that's probably the way I would go about it. I think the offer ads are really, really solid for local businesses. So run maybe a time-sensitive offer, with in-store redemption. So do some discounting, do some promos, some BOGOs, depending on the business. Get foot traffic into the store. Trying to think what else I would do for a local business. I think on the UGC and the social side of things, I would gamify a lot of it. So I would bring a lot of people into the store. I would run some contests. I would do maybe a comment to message contest where we run a video, maybe even a Facebook Live from the store. If you're like a bar or something like that, you're making your cocktail. If you're like a smoothie place, you're showing them making a new fresh smoothie, live video showing the recipes and making it. And then I have people, the best comment gets a free smoothie when they come in next, or get something bigger than that. And I would say everyone that comments is going to get $5 off discount. And then all the people that comment get message put into a messenger sequence. And so now I can broadcast to those people whenever I have new flavors, new offers coming out, new deals. So I probably run something like that as well. Shit. Sorry about that. I had a phone call come in. So auto placement is, I think the automated options for Facebook, whether it's auto bid, auto placement, are all great when you're getting started. So if it's a new business, a new ad account, kind of a fresh start, I think letting Facebook do their thing and on an automated standpoint is a great place to start. You're going to get a lot of data very quickly, and at the end of the day, Facebook's going to do its best to try to make you money, right? So obviously they're a business, they want you to spend a lot of money. The only way they're going to get you to spend a lot of money is to show early results for you, right? That's typically why you notice sometimes with your Facebook ads, you create a new ad and you get like 1 or 2 sales within the first 10 minutes, and your cost per purchase is like 10 cents. I'm sure you've seen that sometimes. Facebook likes getting you early flood of sales quickly, and because it gets you excited, it makes you want to increase your budget, it makes you want to spend more. So the same goes with how they optimize their bidding, their placements. They're going to try to show the ad to the right person in the right place. The risk with auto placement is that there are certain placement options which I think very rarely ever work for certain events. So for example, Audience Network, I have very, very rarely ever seen Audience Network work for website conversion ads. Audience Network is a very deceiving placement. You get very, very low CPCs and very high click-through rates. Typically it's because a lot of the Audience Network is on mobile, it's in games, people accidentally click, and there's a lot of instant bounces. So Audience Network, I usually weed that out for most businesses. But again, the reason I do automatic early on with new businesses, so I don't screw myself with assumptions. Because for our Trump business, for example, right column placement and Audience Network made us a lot of money. We made about $4.5 million in 3 months with that business. We made tens of thousands of dollars from those 2 placement options. And those are typically placement options I would have written off right out of the gate and wouldn't have tested them. So I always test. I never let my bias get in the way, because if it's a new business, it could work. Obviously, if it's a market I know really well, it's a product I know really well, it's a demo I know really well, then I'm going to use my data, my knowledge to start in a better spot. But fresh business, fresh ad account, automatic placement, I think is a good place to start. Just keep an eye on it, measure it closely, and begin to take control of that as soon as you feel comfortable. So once you start to identify trends and see Instagram killing it, but right column and desktop newsfeed really aren't doing well, then you start creating new ad sets, and you start with just Instagram and begin to scale that way. Okay, well, we're about to push an hour. I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions from either my Instagram Live or the Facebook Live. More than happy to stay on for a few more minutes and chat. While I wait to see if there's any more questions, I'll just give more an update. So I'm almost done with the course. I have a bad habit of I I keep coming with ideas and like more things I'm going to add, and people talk to me, they're like, hey, you should add this to it, you should add this to it, and I'm like, yeah, it's a great idea. So I kind of have continued to add more and more things to the course, which is great for you. It just means that I keep going back and recording more content. But there are, it's going to be a lot of content. It's going to have a ton of strategies. It's going to have a lot of different Facebook ad funnels that I use, the exact funnels, the actual blueprints, the walkthroughs, the strategies behind it, case studies. It's going to have tools that I use on a regular basis, all my power tools. Like I told you guys about Sniply. A few people had heard of that. So Sniply is just one of the tools that we talk about. So there's a whole list of tools I use. There's a ton of stuff on strategy. There's a ton of stuff on the foundation of your Facebook ad campaigns and having a really great foundation fundamentals. And then there's also a lot of great stuff on e-com optimization, because it's not just about, hey, I can drive traffic to a store all day, but if the store sucks and isn't optimized and it's missing a lot of these things, my traffic's going to suck. My CPA is going to be terrible. I'm not going to make any money. So part of the course also has modules on e-com optimization, tools that I use on my Shopify stores to increase AOV and to increase conversion rates and decrease bounce rates. So that's also part of the course. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in it. There's going to be a lot of bonus sections. So I'm really, really excited about it. This month, there's going to be a lot. I'm going to be kind of pumping out a lot more updates on it and giving people more information on pricing, when it's actually coming out. There's already several hundred people on the waiting list. And so I'm going to kind of pick some people from the waiting list to get some really great freebies and special pricing on it, and do some giveaways and contests and lots of good stuff. So I'm going to be putting out a lot of updates, so you'll know more about that in the next week or so. And if you're interested to be an affiliate, right now I'm kind of hand selecting some super affiliates that are interested in promoting the course to their networks. Also interested in talking to you. So we're going to have some really good contests for affiliates, really good payouts. So if you're interested on that side of things and have a big audience and have experience doing courses and digital products, I'm more than happy to chat with you about it. So feel free to direct message me, and we can chat about that as well. So if there's no more questions tonight, then I'm going to sign off. So I'll start with my my Instagram live. Thank you guys for Instagram for joining on this. I'm going to start making this a regular thing, and be sure to join the Facebook Ad IQ group if you're not already a member. And that live. All right, so I'm done my Instagram live. That was good though. It gave everyone some extra questions and gave me more stuff to talk about, which was good. So yeah, I think this was a productive Facebook Live session. A lot better than last week's. Last week's I changed the time. I know people, didn't get the update and everything, so we didn't get a lot of people in the door. But I think this was a great live, a lot of Q&A, a lot of good value coming out of this, and I'm always happy to answer as many questions as possible. So with that, I'm gonna sign off for tonight. As always, if any other questions come up after this video, feel free to comment them. Just push them in the channel, and I'll always record a video answering that. So that's all I got tonight, guys. Dorian, Igor, thanks for your questions. Thanks for keeping the group going. Same for you, Percy and Sean. And obviously a special thank you to my fiance Larissa for asking the first question. So she got everything going tonight when there was only one person on the channel. All right, guys, have a good one.